Okay guys, in this video we're going to be talking about Google and SEO strategies that can help you get your website more traffic. So what is SEO? We'll start off with that basic question. So SEO is an acronym. It just stands for Search Engine Optimization. So a search engine is a tool like Google or Bing where people are searching for different phrases. So we've got this search bar right here. So a lot of people use Google. That's probably the more popular search engine, but Bing is another search engine. So as a blogger, you want to optimize your blog posts and your website for Google's search engine so that your stuff can get found. People can actually click on your websites from Google, and that's going to drive traffic into your articles and your different website pages. So first, let's give you an example of kind of how it works. So let's say somebody was typing in golf, practice tips. So let's say that it's, since I'm in the golf niche with my blog, I would try to target a keyword like golf practice tips that I'd want my content to come up for. So somebody searching Google for golf practice tips, then what's going to happen is Google is going to pull up the best results that it feels are most relevant and most important to whatever the person's search query is. So this is called a search query. It's also called keywords. So, whatever phrase they typed in here, that's what they're trying to find more information about. So Google calls that a search query. So now you've got, these different results here. So typically there's going to be 10 results on the page. So if we were to, count them, there's going to be 10 different articles here that Google found. And then down at the bottom, you've got more suggested search terms. So if somebody decided that, they weren't finding any results on the first page of Google that were relevant to whatever they typed in, they could come up here and they could get more specific. So they might, type in at home, for beginners, for winter. So they could add on even more keywords here to get even more specific. So this is called a long tail keyword. The longer that your keyword phrase gets, that's called long tail. Short tail is a shorter keyword. So if somebody was to type in golf practice, you could go a lot of different ways with that. If they were to type in golf, that would be like the root keyword, like the very shortest keyword out there. And that could go a million different directions. There's tons of words that could come after the word golf. So by getting more specific, like golf practice tips for beginners, this is getting even more specific. Or golf practice tips at home, again, getting real specific. No longer is it just practice tips like at the golf course. Now we're talking at home. So by getting more specific, you have a better chance of ranking your articles on Google. Because if you think about just the term golf practice tips or just golf by itself, there's lots of competition for those shorter keyword phrases. So the longer keyword phrase that you're targeting, the more specific search query you're going after, the better chances you have of ranking because there's going to be less competition. So here, just for the term golf, let's go ahead and type that in. So golf has over 1.43 billion results. So you can see about how many page results it has. So if you were to come down here, there's just going to be pages for days and days and days. So remember, it only shows 10 options on the first page. So the whole goal of SEO is to try to get ranked on the first page, because that's what's going to give you the best chance of getting your content seen. Most people are just going to scroll down a little bit. They're going to look at results 1 through 6, 1 through 7 usually. Sometimes they might check out all 10. And it's very rare, that somebody's going to go on to page 2, page 3, page 4 of Google. So by getting your article on the first page, you have a better chance, of getting traffic to your website. So going back to golf practice tips, I think I actually saw my article down here. So the 6 golfing chips, this is one of the articles that I've written about chipping tips. So it's a little more specific. Here they typed in golf practice tips and Google pulled up my article, which had to do with chipping tips to improve your short game. So assuming since my my brand name, Golf Practice Guides, was in the URL up here, golf practice, and then it saw the word tips. So it kind of has all three of the keywords. They're just kind of spread out from each other. So that could be why they found it relevant. Or, Google's real smart, so they can tell that if I'm talking about chipping tips, that's, a subcategory or a subtopic of golf tips or golf practice tips. So it is still relevant to somebody's search. So that's, Google's real smart depending on what keywords you're targeting. It won't exact match it, so it's not going to pull up 10 articles that say golf practice tips. If all these said golf practice tips, that would be a little weird. Instead, what it does is it gets a general idea from you that, you're looking for golf practice tips. So it's going to be able to kind of go off of that and pull up relevant results that may not be exact matches. So like here, golf practice drills, driving range tips, in my case, chipping tips, and then we've got golf practice routines. So these aren't exact matches for this keyword phrase somebody's searching, but it's still relevant, it's still similar. People would still want to know, driving range tips if they want to use golf practice tips to go to the driving range or whatever. So that's, a little overview of what Google does, kind of the SEO, what it is. So as far as actually ranking your articles on Google, what you can do is there's, different optimization strategies that you do inside of your blog article. So for example, one of them is, putting keywords in your title of your blog post. So then Google's going to read the title of your article to try to figure out what it's about. So that's pretty, straightforward. It makes sense, I think, that if you've got different keywords about golf, in my case, in my title, Google's going to know this article or this page has to do with golf. And then if I start off in the first couple paragraphs with some keywords that I'm trying to target, that also quickly gives Google an indication of what the page will be about. So they're going to have these little kind of robots is what they call them. They're called bots, and it's automated, softwares that will scan every web page that gets indexed into Google. And so they're going to scroll through my page and they're going to, quickly analyze it using their algorithm to try to determine how relevant, or first what my article is even about. And then they're going to be able to start categorizing it, its relevancy to different search terms, so that when different search terms get typed in, this article might show up for multiple different search terms that it relates to. So typically, one way to get your content ranking is to write long form, detailed content. So the longer your article is, if it's over 1,000 words or over 2,000, 3,000 words, if you write really long content, that's going to give you a better chance of ranking for multiple keywords because, throughout your long article, you're probably mentioning lots of different keywords related to your niche. So in my case, today's article is about the six best chipping tips to follow. But throughout this article, I'm probably mentioning a lot of different keyword phrases. I'm probably mentioning the chip shot, chip practice tips, chipping drills, golf handicaps, golf practice drills, golf practice routines, golf course. I'm probably mentioning lots of different words, even if they're just short tail words or if they're long tail phrases. There's probably 100 different keywords in this one article that I could potentially rank for in addition to my main keyword I'm trying to rank for, which is chipping tips. So if that makes sense to you, writing long articles is going to give you a better chance for your article to show up for multiple different keyword searches people would type in. So collectively, let's say every month there's, 100 people searching for golf practice tips, and then let's say golf chipping tips, there's another 100 people searching for golf chipping tips. So Google might show my article for both of those phrases, golf practice tips and golf chipping tips. So if 100 people are searching for one search query and the 100 people are searching for the other search query, and my article happens to come up for both, that's 200 potential people that are going to see my article. So by ranking it for multiple keywords, you're going to collectively get a reach of lots of different traffic. You're not just getting 100 people potentially that could see it. You're getting thousands and thousands. So your impressions, your reach goes way up. So in the next video, we're going to get into the Google Keyword Planner, which is a tool you can use to actually research different keywords. Like, this, for example, golf chipping tips. You'll type that into the Keyword Planner, and it'll actually give you a rough estimation of how many searches that keyword phrase is getting per month. So you're going to get a better idea of how popular that search phrase is and whether it's worth targeting or not. So if you're going after super specific keyword phrases, the longer and longer they get, the more specific they are, so the less search volume they're going to get. So for example, the words golf, that's probably going to have millions of searches per month, just the word golf. But if I was to type in golf practice tips at home for beginners, now this phrase is getting super specific, so that phrase somebody might only be typing in 100 times or 50 times a month. So the more specific you get, the less competition, but also the less search volume there is potentially for that term. So that's why it's important to write long form content, so you can not only rank for these longer keyword terms, but a variety of them, so that you're gonna, this one might have 50, this one might have 100, this one might have 200. Collectively, your article is going to get out there in front of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 impressions per month. So starting off with the title, a little intro paragraph that's got your keywords. Make sure your article is really long. It's probably good to link out to some different resources so that Google can kind of read the links and see where you're linking out to, and that could give it a good indication of what your article's about. So you want to make sure you're linking to relevant articles. You don't want to, try to link out to things that are random, unrelated to this article. If you use images, that's another good way. Google can read the alt text in the image. So whenever you upload an image into WordPress, you want to make sure that the title of the image contains some of your keywords, because it'll read the title tag on that image. And then there's a space for the alt text. So you'll want to punch in your keywords there for the alt text. And not only can images help tell Google what your article's about, but images themselves can rank in Google. So if I was to type in golf practice tips here, we'll go ahead and do a search query. Now I come over here to the images tab, and you're probably going to see, some different images that I've actually uploaded. So here's some of mine, the 50 best golf tips, Nick's 3 best putting tips. So I've actually got images from my blog articles themselves ranking in Google Images. So now if people are searching via images, that's another way they could click on an image, and then that's linking out to my blog post, so they could end up landing on my website, on my blog article, thanks to that image right here that was ranking. So the alt text and the image title, you want to make sure both those have keywords in them. You've also got the different headings. So you've got the title up here, which is typically in a heading 1 tag. So that's going to make it really big and bold. And then your heading 2, heading 3s start to get smaller. So this heading 3 you could tell is smaller than my heading 2 tag. So that way it kind of organizes your page to make it easy to read, for other people. So this tag, the heading 2 and the heading 3s, you also want to use some keywords in those. So Google's going to scan over your title, your heading tags, and then it's going to read your overall article. So if your article's got 3,000 words, it's going to scan all 3,000 words, and it's going to look for which keywords or which words you use in your article the most. So that's going to help it kind of learn about what the page is about. So this is called keyword density. So let's say I use the word golf in my article, 100 different times. And if my article was only 1,000 words long and I use the word golf 100 times, that would be really dense. I'm using that word 10% of the time. So out of 1,000 words, 100 of those words were the word golf. So that would be a 10% density for the word golf. So that would be really high. Google actually wants you somewhere in the range of 1 to 2% density. So in that case, if I was writing a 1,000-word article, I would probably want to use the word golf around 10 to 20 times. But you don't want to personally count every time you use it. You just want to write a natural flowing article. And then at the very end, you can check the keyword density using different tools on the internet. So you could type in keyword density tool, and there will be a free tool that comes up that's going to ask you to plug in your blog post article. So let's go ahead and do this one as an example real quickly. And then there's also a plugin while that's loading I'll talk about. So Yoast Seo is a plugin you actually can install on your website. So in a previous video lesson, we actually covered the Yoast plugin, showing you how to install it and then how it goes through the whole checklist, where it'll actually give you a red light or a green light if you're passing the different SEO checklist metrics to make sure that your article is optimized for Google. So that plugin will actually show you keyword density inside itself, so you don't have to leave WordPress, but it's also interesting to use a third-party tool. So here we are on the keyword density tool. Let's go ahead and find where we can open it up. So it actually wants us to log in to use this tool. So we're going to go ahead and move back out here to the next option under Internet Marketing Ninja. So let's go ahead over here, and they've got an area where we could punch in our link, and we'll click Ninja Check. So while that's loading, I'm going to go ahead and talk a few more points about SEO here. So we've got it in the title, you got it in your headings, you got it in your paragraphs and article itself. So it's going to be looking at keyword density. We've talked about optimizing your images to have the keywords in the images. And then probably it would be best at the very end of your article to mention the keywords, kind of in your closing paragraphs, so that Google at the bottom can kind of see what your conclusion is that you're wrapping up. And then if you link out to some additional related articles, that's also important, because Google wants people to kind of be connected, to interlink your blog articles to each other so that they can go from one article to the next. So Google bots will then go scroll these pages after they get done scanning this article to try to figure out what these articles are about. So you want to try to link some related articles at the bottom that that will help Google kind of determine what this article has to do with. So those would be my SEO tips. Again, the Yoast Seo plugin has a full checklist for you. So when you get done in the WordPress blog post editor, you can scroll down underneath your blog post and you'll find that Yoast Seo plugin checklist, and it'll have red lights and green lights for you of the different things that you need to complete before hitting that publish button. All right, so hopping back over here, it analyzed my page for me. So it says I've got 1,918 words on the page. And then it tells me how many of the words are linked. So I had a lot of different links on my page. So 167 words made up links. Then I had 1,751 non-linked. And then 950 are stop words that have less than 3 characters. So the word to, the word and, so, if, but, those type of words are called stop words. So those made up about half of the words on my page. So as far as density, first let's look at one word keyword, so short tail. So the word golf was 2.3 or 2.13%. I used it 41 times. Chipping was used 33 times, 1.72. Practice, drills, tips. So Google's going to look at, and see that it's about golf, chipping, it's about drills, tips. Now, 2-word phrases, so getting a little more long tail. Chip shot was used the most. Chipping tips was used 0.46%, so I used it 9 times. Short game, practice drills, golf practice. And then there's some density checkers that will actually show you 3-word phrases. So if I use the words golf chipping tips, that would be what I was trying to rank for. So that would be a 3-word phrase. So that's how you could check to see your density. So after you get done writing your article, not worrying about keyword density, not trying to stuff your article intentionally with keywords. At the end, just do a brief check to see how things came out naturally. And if you see you're a little low, like if I was trying to rank for, golf chipping tips and that's a little less than 1%, I might add this in a few more times throughout my article. So I'm going to go in and find some sentences where maybe I just said the word tips and I could add the word chipping next to it so that it would make sense. But you want it all to naturally flow. So you don't want to just, make kind of be spammy and kind of stuff it in there, because that could get you penalized. If Google sees that you're spamming and you're stuffing your articles with keywords, that could also negatively affect you. So that's why it's important to keep your density a modest 1 to 2%, because that's kind of the natural density. If it comes out at 5, 10, 20%, then Google's going to think you're just stuffing your article trying to rank it, for that keyword. And so that no longer works. So they're going to end up penalizing you. So overall, those are the Google SEO strategy tips for you today. We talked about what SEO is, how it's important to try to get your article optimized so that it can show up on Google. And that's going to end up sending traffic back to your website when you get your articles ranking. So this is a long-term game. These websites that are up here at the top, these are usually established authority websites that have built lots of trust in the eyes of Google. So one way they build lots of trust is they get lots of backlinks. So if you want to learn more about backlinks, you could type in, building backlinks or strategies to build backlinks. And there's going to be tons of SEO related articles that will teach you strategies to try to build backlinks. But what backlinks are is it's just other people linking back to your website. So if they think your website's really helpful and they're writing a blog article related to your website's niche, so if somebody else was writing a golf article, they might link to my 50 best golf tips article as like a bonus resource. So kind of how we talked about at the end, when people type related articles in, different people might link out to my articles from their article. So that's going to build me a backlink. So that's pointing their website to mine, kind of saying, hey, this person's website's really good. They've got good content. So that tells Google my website's important. So if you can build lots of backlinks, 50, 100, 200, 300 different websites linking to you, that's going to give you some authority over other websites that might only have 1 or 2 backlinks pointing to them. So backlinks are still kind of the king, ranking factor. It probably has the most weight. There's lots of different pieces that go into the algorithm, but backlinks probably have a bigger weight, because that if lots of people think that you're important, your website's important enough to link to it, that tells Google it's probably important enough to rank at the top of the search. So go out there and connect with other blogs and try to get them to link to you in exchange, maybe for you linking to one of their articles, and so that you guys can kind of help each other out. And then, hopefully over time you get some other natural organic backlinks that other people just link to you on their own that you don't even know, that you didn't even reach out to. So go out there, build some relationships. We'll talk about that in another module called collaborating with others. So again, that'll be all about collaborating with other bloggers. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up for you. I think we pretty much hit all the important stuff with SEO, but it is a long-term game. So that's where if you're trying to build quick traffic starting out, you want to focus more on Pinterest, social media, maybe some Facebook ads. Those will be the quick results. And then Google's kind of the long-term game that eventually you'll get your website ranking over time once it ages and it gets lots of backlinks and you've got lots of content, and Google starts seeing it as a relevant website that updates frequently and that actually provides good information. Then they'll start rising you up the rankings.